This is podcast number 334, and I am here with Jack Forbes, the CEO and co-founder of Kopa. So Jack, welcome to the show.
Jasper, thank you for having me. It is a pleasure to be here.
Sweet. And for everybody who's watching in the Airbnb Profit Club, drop me a comment. Just let me know where you're watching from. Let me know if you have any questions for Jack. Let me know if you're doing any medium-term, mid-term rentals. Let me know if that's something that you're interested in, a 30-day, a 60-day, or a 3-month stay. Just drop me a comment, say hi, tell me where you're from. And if you have any questions, we'll pick those up and answer them. But Jack, let me ask you first, like, how did you start this company?
Yeah, we are your classic case of starting a company out of our own need. So we moved 52 times in the span of 7 years between the three of us founders. And honestly, we struggled. We had the same kind of struggle you just mentioned, where we saw that, Airbnb and them covered the short-term rentals 1 to 30 days well. Apartments.com and them covered the long-term, year plus unfurnished stuff pretty well. But for our stays that we needed, for 4 to 6 months in our case, we really didn't see anything solving that for us. We tried using Craigslist, we tried using Facebook Marketplace, we tried even using Airbnb, but it just wasn't built for that, renting medium-term stay. So, we decided to build the solution we wish we had. And this started 5 years ago, as San Francisco is our ground zero. And, we've since grown to support almost every city in the U.S., with, Canada and Europe and more coming soon. Basically we created that experience we wish we had, where it's a medium-term furnished rental marketplace where we also help renters find housemates. So a big problem, even as a digital nomad, can be, I can't afford a place to myself in some of these cities that are so expensive. I need to live with people. And honestly, housemates and roommates can be pretty great to have too in general. It's a good excuse to have a social life if you're an introvert like me and maybe don't get out that much. So we built a housemate search and a housemate finder into the platform. So when, looking at multi-bed spaces as a renter, you can easily form a compatible group based on your interests to book that multi-bed space. So we help renters find, the place to live, the people to live with, and even the things to do and people to meet once there. Since, we really didn't feel that sense of community when we were moving around, those 52 times for our internships, our new grad jobs. So we're really trying to help people feel connected, right? And instead of ending the experience at message landlord, we're having an end-to-end experience where we even help you get out of the house and get to know other people once you move in.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. So let's just go all the way back and let's talk about what can the viewers, the people that are watching right now, the people that are listening right now. I see there's Joy from New York City, Tamara from Long Beach. What's up, Tamara? We have Marla, Philadelphia. We have Omar from Mexico. We have somebody actually who's already listing on Kopa as well. Properties on the Gulf Coast of Mississippi, South Texas, doing 30+ rentals, need more sources. So thank you guys for commenting. So I guess that's a very good question to start with, actually, is like, where are you guys? Are you guys throughout the whole of the US, or is it just the major cities?
We're throughout the U.S. now. We actually were focused on the major cities, but with the recent shift from short-term to medium-term, we've honestly kind of seen an explosion in new hosts throughout the U.S., which has actually been timed pretty well with 220 Facebook groups that we recently became the owners of. So we now have about 2 million members from those Facebook housing groups coming to us, looking for these furnished places to live. So it's good that we are now, getting that supply to try and support them.
That's awesome. And what's a sign up process like? Because I looked at your website and it seems like fairly similar to Airbnb. It's free to list, and I think you guys take a 1% fee, 1% from the fee from the host, right?
Exactly. Yeah. So 1% for the host, just 2% for the renter. And for those unfamiliar, that compares to, 3% up to 15% for the host on other platforms and up to 20% for the renter on other platforms. So, we genuinely started Kopa because we wanted to solve our own problem, right? Like, we're not starting this to try and make money. We just wanted to support those interns initially that we felt the struggle with, and now travel nurses and students and digital nomads and others. But I also want to make sure I give a shout out to my two co-founders, Courtney and Zach, because they are really the brains behind Kopa, and I am just the face that gets to take credit when really they're the true smarty pants.
Awesome. Of course, one question that I am 100% sure that every single host will have, and including myself, if I wanted to list on your platform, because creating a listing on a platform is great, but it doesn't serve you if you're not actually getting bookings. So could you go into number one? What's the process of setting up a listing? Do I need to take my own photos? Or do you have a survey for that, a service for that? What does the listing creation process look like? Is it very similar to Airbnb? And actually, let's stick with that first, and then we'll dive into the next question.
Yeah. So fundamentally, as co-founders, we are product people. So we're a designer and two engineers that founded the company. So we are all about technology and creating easy to use experience. So we have tried to make the sign up and listing creation process as easy as possible. You can actually even copy your listing over from Airbnb once you sign up to save maybe 10 minutes out of the 15 minutes that it normally would take, and just add the final details to publish. But exactly like you say, adding your listing as a host really is on average about 12 to 15 minutes. We have iterated on that process over a dozen times because it's not easy to get that one down. We let you rent either by bed or by the entire space as a host. So instead of having to make a different listing for every bed, if you do it that way, you can just have one listing and still rent each bed individually. So it's definitely a big improvement we made compared to some of the vacation booking platforms out there. But yeah, we tried to make it as easy as possible. Kopa.co, Kopa.co, and you can just click sign up in the top right from there.
That's awesome, and I think in this time and age, just making things as easy and simple as possible for people is so important. Because our attention spans have dropped dramatically, I think, over the last couple of decades. So that's something that we are focused on as well with our education, is like, how can we make everything as simple and easy as possible? So that's really good to hear. So the next question obviously is, how do I get bookings? Right? I create a beautiful listing. Do you have something similar to Airbnb where they give you like a push in the search results, and how are those search results calculated? What can I do as a host to attract more viewers to my listing?
Yeah, great question. So we actually just wrote a blog article about this too, on how to improve your listing and make it as competitive as possible. The main thing really is getting reviews. And before you can get there, we have some tips as well. But once you get those reviews, that'll help you show higher in the results, since, other renters have proven that they enjoyed living there. But before you get that first review, there are definitely a lot of things you can do to make your listing stand out. Taking high quality photos during the brightest time of day with the windows open, so you get some good lighting in there. Like, that is huge alone, right? In terms of even improving your space, put some rugs and lamps in there. I think those are two little pro tips you don't really read very often, but rugs and lamps really can make a place feel like home when it otherwise might feel like maybe a more generic kind of rental. And yeah, ultimately, just trying to make your listing personal and unique. Instead of having a generic title of, 1 bedroom, 3 bathroom in city, maybe you can have a custom theme within it. Maybe, I don't know, you like Star Wars, so you put some little Star Wars figurines or photos throughout, and suddenly it can become, like a Star Wars themed listing that you could even customize the title that way. Those kind of personalizations really go a long way.
So I guess it's very similar as how you would market on Airbnb, right? Because it's essentially different marketing channels, but still the same marketing principles apply, right? The photos, making sure that you have a unique selling point. Those things are valid on any platform. Is there a particular way where you can get started and immediately attract some viewers? Because obviously, you mentioned reviews. Well, if I create a new listing on your website, how am I going to compete with people that already have reviews? Am I going to get like a little bump because I'm a new host?
Yeah, great point. We do have a fun badge that says, new listing, to try and promote, your space when you do first list. So we do really try and help you get bookings as a new host on Kopa. And it's a good point. These improvements you'd make to your Kopa listing really are similar to the improvements you'd make on your Airbnb listing. Another one actually is even just price is a big one, right? So before you can get that first review, lowering the price a bit to get that first high quality tenant can really go a long ways. And beyond that, just trying to be as responsive as possible to any messages you do get. Include a easy to read description on the listing. Again, there are quite a few improvements you can make. So when a renter comes to your listing, they really feel like, yeah, this is the place I want to live. The final improvement I'll even mention is we enable you to upload a video tour or even a 3D tour if you want to go that far. So if you have, 10 minutes, just take a little video tour of the space, and you can upload that. And that really gives, digital nomads, interns, travel nurses, whoever it might be, a really good sense of where they'll be living since they can't see it themselves.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I've always wondered when the major platforms like Airbnb and Booking.com were going to integrate video or even like 3D walkthroughs and stuff like that through on their platforms. So I want to talk a little bit more about the housemates. Because I think that's a really, really interesting feature. So let's say I have a home and I have 4 bedrooms. Right now on Airbnb, if I were to list on Airbnb, I would potentially list the entire house. And then I would also list the individual rooms. And then, I would manage it that way. But that way I would have like 5 listings, which was kind of crazy. So you're saying that I would be able to create one listing and then still rent out those individual rooms? Or would I also be able to rent out the entire house?
Yeah, so currently you do choose if you want to rent it by bed or by the entire space. We are looking into enabling you to say, I don't have a preference. I just want to, fill all the beds however possible. So we're looking into that. But for now, if you do it by bed, you definitely will have more inquiries in general that you could get. Because in general, right, there are just more renters as a whole when you include the solo travelers versus entire space. You're kind of restricting the people who are moving by themselves to having to find a group. So the trade-off is by bed, there's a risk that maybe one of the beds or 2 are vacant while some other ones are filled. But then the risk with renting by entire space is, you just might not be able to fill it at all. So with the housemate finder, when you rent it by entire space, which as a host usually is kind of lower risk because you don't want to risk, 1 or 2 beds vacant. We then make it easier for the renters to form a compatible group to actually book that entire space. So we actually are literally in the process of releasing our new and improved housemate finder. It should be out actually end of next week. So upon the time of recording this, Maybe once this is released, even it will be live. But renters will be able to not only search by housemates and filter by preferences, lifestyles, but then even once you come to a listing that's, let's say, a 4-bedroom house and it's rented by the entire space, you can see compatible housemates that we've determined are a good fit for you based on the interests and profile you've filled out, to then, form that group, split the deposit, split the monthly rent, and even choose the bed that you want within the space.
That's a really exciting feature. But if you want to have that live before I publish this podcast, then you're going to have to hurry up because that's tomorrow.
It's almost done. Within a week and a half, for sure.
Awesome. And a good question from Omar. He's saying, happy to list as well for the Latin American rollout. Omar is based in Mexico City. So that leads me into the next question, which is, are you guys planning on staying in the US or do you have international expansion plans?
Definitely international expansion. So if you're outside the US as a host right now, please do email us, hello@kopa.co, and we can put you on the waiting list. We do have a waiting list going. Canada will be the next country. Mexico honestly could be soon to follow. Europe will quickly follow after that.
Awesome. And another really good question from my good friend Alex. He's asking, does it integrate with any property management system, PMS?
That's another good one. We're in talks with them right now, actually. So I don't know if I can publicly say which are coming, but some of the popular ones will support Kopa in the coming months.
All right, sweet. Well, you're gonna have to give us an update on that yeah. when you have it. Sweet. So this all sounds really exciting. Can you provide us with some numbers about like how many hosts do you have, how many users, just to give people an idea of like, is it really worth for me to spend the time creating the listing? Is there enough demand? What can you share?
Yeah, so we're now surpassing 10,000 furnished properties in the US, and those range from an individual host renting out maybe a couple bedrooms in the house they live at to, a whole separate guest house, to property managers that manage, a few spaces, up to property management companies and even hotels and co-living companies. So we do have a pretty broad spectrum of spaces for, the renters to choose from. And we do have more traffic than we've ever had from renters right now. So I mentioned, the 220 Facebook groups that we recently became the owners of. Between them, there are 2 million members on those Facebook housing groups. And that is for pretty much every geography throughout the US right now. So we have a lot of people coming to us through that channel alone. Beyond that, we have a lot of partnerships. So we have over 500 partnerships with relocation companies, medical staffing agencies, universities, even just general employers. And they send a lot of people our way too, which the hosts particularly like because they're vetted even more. Those employers and organizations do the background checks and whatnot. So you can feel even more secure, even though before the renter can message you as a host, they do have to fill out a rental application, including their proof of employment and proof of education. So you get to actually even see their offer letter before they can even message you as a host. But yeah, we have seen an increasing number of renters now. I honestly couldn't even say the number of monthly visits, but we are approaching 500 bookings per month completed through Kopa now.
Sweet, and I imagine you probably saw an increase on demand and probably on both sides of the equation because I think 56% of bookings on Airbnb are now longer than 2 weeks. So there's definitely been a shift from short term like 3-4 night bookings to the longer bookings, which I imagine probably benefits your platform, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Our average rental duration on Kopa right now is 4 to 6 months. So that could be anywhere from a digital nomad staying 1 month to a travel nurse staying 3 to maybe an intern staying 6, all the way up to maybe even recent graduate that's moving to a new city through one of our relocation partners that maybe even wants to stay a full 12 months. And on your listing, you can specify, I'll support 1 month minimum or 3 month minimum and a maximum of maybe 6 months or 12 months. You get to choose, what your preferred duration range is.
We got a really good question here from Justin. How is rent payments facilitated through the platform?
Yeah, so that's something, again, we personally wanted to solve a problem we had. I'm actually Canadian, so I am from near Toronto, and I was doing a lot of internships here in the US. And in some cases, we would have to mail a carrier's check across the border to a place I hadn't even toured. Just crossing my fingers, hoping that it was legitimate and I was actually going to have a place to stay when I moved. So we said, okay, let's make sure we have a better rent payment process than mailing a carrier check. So rent payments are all just the click of a button for the renters. Each month you're automatically reminded, hey, don't forget to pay rent. And you click a button, it comes out of the same bank account that you paid your deposit with, as well as a renter. We're exploring automatic payments if renters, want to opt into that. But yeah, for now, ACH is by far the most popular payment method. For renters that don't have a bank account in the US, they pay with credit card. Currently that makes up only about 10% of payments through Kopa. That's typically, Europeans moving over here, Canadians moving over here, etc.
Sweet. And, I wanted to emphasize that I think it's really, really good to be ahead of the curve when it comes to like a new platform, because obviously your platform is 5 years old, but it takes a long time to build up a big user base, right? I listed on Airbnb back in 2012. Airbnb was founded 2007, right? Was it 2007 or 2008? I can't remember now, but
right around there, yeah.
But it took like 3 or 4 years for them to get any traction as well. So, but when I listed on Airbnb, like I was crushing it in Amsterdam, and I think one of the reasons that I was crushing it and I kept doing it for a long time was because I was one of the maybe not one of the first hosts on the platform in Amsterdam, but definitely relatively I was very, very early. And that allows you to build up a reputation on the platform, and then when it grows, then you can really get the fruits from being that first adopter later on. So even if the platform right now isn't gigantic, like compared to Airbnb, obviously it's small, but down the line, as you guys grow, being one of those first adopters can really pay off in the long term, I think.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You have a huge leg up if you can get on early and build up your reviews and kind of presence on that site. Honestly, we've actually even seen hosts that send their renters to Kopa from Airbnb because they save 2% and then the renters save, anywhere from 12 to 18%. And those hosts, I think, want to build up their Kopa presence. So that's what they've been doing. But it's a great point. Definitely getting on early can help in a lot of cases.
Sweet. So I know you offered a fun little reward for people to join the platform right now, especially for the Get Paid for Your Pad audience. I thought it was a really cool and creative way to share a reward, an incentive. So I'd love for you to explain that to everyone.
Yeah. Okay. So any host signing up, please go to kopa.co, so kopa.co/p/ it's the abbreviation for Get Paid for Your Pad. So GPFYP. I've got to make sure I get that right. Kopa.co/p/GPFYP. And when you sign up and get your first booking, we're going to give you a free restaurant gift card to a surprise restaurant in your area that we have local experts doing the research to find a great one. And part of the goal of doing this is to support the restaurants once they reopen. So, if you get your first booking in a week, let's say, maybe you'll have to wait a little bit to be able to use the gift card. But, we're really trying to support a lot of those local restaurants that, maybe need the help right now. So that's the promotion we're offering to hosts right now. And if you're a renter, you're actually welcome to use the same link and get that same promotion as well. If you book a place through Kopa, we're happy to offer you that fun, free gift card to a local restaurant. And, we're good at choosing them. So it'll be a fun surprise.
Yeah, I love that. I love that, man. Because most platforms they'll have some sort of incentive, like get $10 off, get 10% off, 15% off. But for you guys to actually use your local knowledge and recommend a restaurant to somebody as a surprise and then give them the credit, I think that's a much cooler experience than just to offer some sort of monetary discount. So
yeah, and
awesome.
I appreciate it. Yeah, we can make sure we choose restaurants too that are, local businesses that, need the support the most as well.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. We got a question here from Anibal. What's the story of Kopa's name? That's a good one. I forgot to ask that. Thank you, Anibal.
That is a great question. I love that. So Kopa is actually Latvian for together. It may seem quite random, but we love metaphors over here. And fundamentally with Kopa, our goal is to bring people together, right? We truly believe home is the place you live, the people you live with, and the things you do. It's all three coming together to make you feel like you belong somewhere. And together is just obviously a natural term that works for us, right? Not only bringing housemates and roommates together, but tenants and hosts together, even both sides of the marketplace. We're trying to bring both together to then create a seamless experience. So, we were looking up, okay, well, what else is together in some other languages? And Kopa, the Latvian translation looked like a lot of fun. So, that's where the name originated.
That's awesome, man. That's really fun. Have you been to Latvia, by the way?
I have not, but that is now a destination on my bucket list.
It has to be, right? Well, right now it's a bit tricky to travel, but yeah, you're gonna have to take your team there at some point.
Oh yeah, we'll wear our Kopa shirts and get a selfie. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Sweet. Well, this is really fun talking about Kopa, talking about the mid. And should I say, Kopa is the Airbnb for midterm rentals?
Yeah, that's definitely a good way to put it. We saw that the current terminology was like extended stay or flexible lease or monthly, and naturally the word between short and long is medium. So that's why we said, let's just call it the medium term rental marketplace. I hope it sticks because I'm a very logical, analytical person, and I really want short, medium, long to be the terminology everyone uses instead of extended stay and monthly and flexible lease.
Sweet, man. Well, thank you so much for joining today. This has been really fun. Before I let you go, any final words for the audience?
I hope you all stay healthy out there, and if we can help, please do come our way. Send us any and all feedback you have. We are all about product and improving our experience. So, hello@kopa.co. Hit us with anything and everything on your mind. Hope everyone stays healthy out there.
Awesome. Thank you. And for the people that are interested in listing on Kopa, if you want to get that surprise restaurant $30 voucher, the URL is kopa.co, as in kopa.co/p/GPFYP. And you got that abbreviation right. I know it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
I didn't memorize it well enough before, but I think I got it.
Yeah, it took me a couple of years before I was able to always pronounce that correctly,
Yeah.
All right. Well, Jack, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for joining. And thanks everybody who've been watching here in the Profit Club. Everybody who's been commenting with their really good questions. That really helps because, sometimes I forget a good question. And then when you guys ask it, it's awesome. So, if you guys have any other questions, you can email, Jack at hello@kopa.co. But also feel free to send me your questions. And of course, this podcast episode, you can watch it every Monday, every Thursday at 10 a.m. PST. That's 1 p.m. Eastern time. You can watch it live in the Airbnb Profit Club Facebook group, but you can also watch the recording on Facebook. You can watch the recording in the Facebook. I said YouTube. But so you can watch it there as well. You can listen on any of the platforms, any of the podcast platforms. And then, of course, you can see the show notes at getpaidforyourpet.com. And we'll put the links up there as well for you. So if you don't want to just type it into a URL, you can go to the show note page at getpaidforyourpet.com. And then you can just click on the link and make sure you get that $30 voucher. So I'll put it in the comments here as well in the Airbnb Profit Club, so people can use it. So Jack, thanks again. Thanks everybody for watching. Thanks listeners. Thanks for the viewers, and we'll be back on Thursday. Take care, everybody.
Thank you all. Have a good week.